Hi, everybody. This is the Gospel of John class. My name is Bill Young. I'm from Berlin Center United Methodist. This is going to be a reading from John chapter 9, verses 13 through 17. So let's go ahead and take a look at that passage. And it says, beginning at verse 13, "They brought to the Pharisees a man who had been blind. Now the day on which Jesus had made the mud and opened the man's eyes was a Sabbath. Therefore the Pharisees also asked him how he had received sight. 'He put mud on my eyes,' the man replied, 'and I washed, and now I see.' Some of the Pharisees said, 'This man is not from God, for he does not keep the Sabbath.' But others asked, 'How can a sinner perform such signs?' So they were divided. Then they turned again to the blind man. 'What have you to say about him? It was your eyes he opened?' The man replied, 'He is a prophet.'" So let's hear a little bit more about this. I'm going to be reading from the book on page 50. It says, "Understanding the word. We are not told who it is that brought the blind man to the authorities. Could it have been one of his nosy neighbors? We can't say. In any case, he was brought before the Pharisees, who had many extra rules about Sabbath keeping, or better, who said extra explanations of what the law actually required. Visa work on the Sabbath. Notice as well that no one questions the means by which Jesus performed the healing, only the day on which it happened. It is notable that there was a division among the authorities as to how Jesus, who performed this miracle, should be evaluated, even though the healing clearly took place on the Sabbath. The question is asked, how can a sinner perform such miracles? In their view, God would not anoint or appoint a sinner to do such things. It took a holy man to perform holy miracles. So then asked the formerly blind man his opinion about Jesus. And here he begins to testify boldly. He is a prophet, says the man, presumably like other Galilean prophets who performed healing such as Elijah. But they were not willing to let it go at that. And so the process goes on. When we think about Jesus' many healings on the Sabbath, it becomes clear that while he would be seen as a Sabbath breaker by many Jews, Jesus had a different view of work on the Sabbath. Namely, it was the perfect day to give people release, peace, and rest from what ailed them. Jesus elsewhere calls himself the Lord of the Sabbath and says that the Sabbath was made for the good of human beings, not vice versa. The basic meaning of the word Sabbath is to cease. So by Jesus' logic, what better day for a man's blindness to cease? There may be one more factor in play. Jesus seems to have believed he was inaugurating the new covenant. If there is a new covenant, the old one is obsolete. It is not possible to violate a defunct law. So perhaps Jesus would have argued he did not violate the Sabbath law because that law was no longer applied now that the kingdom was breaking into the world. So let's look at the questions for this passage. Should Christians see the Lord's Day as their Sabbath? Why or why not? What is your view of work? Should it be done on the Lord's Day? And why do you think the formerly blind man suggested to his inquisitors that Jesus was a prophet? All right. Hope you have a great day. Tune in tomorrow. Until then, have a good one.